There are only a handful of coaches in the NFL that have been to multiple Super Bowls, head coaches we're talking about. For the purposes of this discussion, we're going to take Bill Belichick and just put him in a totally different category. He's one of one. Bill Belichick is the most successful NFL coach of all time. He's gone to the Super Bowl 9 times. He's won 6 of those 9 trips. He is in a category entirely his own. So put Bill Belichick to the side. If we ever get into Bill Belichick territory, that's a totally different conversation. But right now, Sean McVay just turned 36 years old in January. He's a newly minted 36-year-old head coach, and he's been a head coach in this league for 5 years. Okay, here's what's on the table for him over the course of the next couple of weeks, getting ready for Super Bowl 56. He has a chance to go to his second Super Bowl, or I shouldn't say he has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. He's going to his second Super Bowl in 5 years as a head coach in the NFL, and he has a chance to win one. Here are the other guys in the league that have been to multiple Super Bowls or have been in the league a long time and are widely considered the best coaches in the NFL. Let's just go through this guy by guy by guy. Let's start with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is 63 years old. Let me say it again. Sean McVay's 36. Andy Reid has been to the Super Bowl 3 times. Andy Reid has been a head coach in the NFL since 1999. 3 times. Sean McVay's been a head coach 5 years, 2 times. Andy Reid has won 1 Super Bowl along the way. And this is not to throw any cold water on Andy Reid's career, which is by any measure terrific. He is widely considered one of the best coaches in the NFL, and for good reason. He's remarkably successful in Philadelphia and Kansas City. Everywhere he's gone, Andy Reid has won a bunch of games. But he's been a head coach in this league since 1999 and been to 3 of these. That's 23 seasons. He's been to 3 of them. Sean McVay's been in this league for 5 years as a head coach and been to 2. And if he can win in a couple of Sundays, he will have as many Super Bowl head coaching wins as Andy Reid. Okay? Let's go to arguably the next best head coach in the NFL. Let's talk about Mike Tomlin for a second. Again, a terrific head coach by any measure. Mike Tomlin has been a head coach in the NFL since 2007. Okay, it's 2022. Mike Tomlin's 49 years old, still remarkably young. He's still on the young side of NFL head coaches, and he's been in it since 07. He's also, what did that be, 13. He turns 50 here in a couple of weeks. So he is 14 years older than Sean McVay. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He's 1-1. Sean McVay could do in 5 years what took Mike Tomlin nearly 20 years to get done, 15 years to get done. Does anybody think that Mike Tomlin's not one of the best coaches of his generation? I certainly do. He has been extraordinary since he took over for the Steelers, went to the Super Bowl, won another one. He's 50 years old or very close, and he's 1-1. Sean McVay is 36 and is headed to his second Super Bowl with a chance to be 1-1. Pete Carroll, in and out of the NFL, but started his NFL head coaching career in 1994. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's 70 years old. Sean McVay is 36 years old. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, has a chance to be 1-1 in a couple of weeks. Sean Payton recently left New Orleans. Maybe he'll land somewhere else. Maybe he'll go to TV. We'll see what Sean Payton is. But again, Sean Payton, widely considered one of the best coaches of his era, was there since 2006. He's 58 years old and is 1-0 in the Super Bowl. Sean McVay is 36 years old and is going to his second Super Bowl in 5 years. This is how quickly this thing can change if you get the right guy in that spot. And this just isn't, he's really good at running his own team. What he's been able to do with his coaching tree is nearly as remarkable. Think about it. When you hear about coaching trees, whose names come to mind? Bill Walsh. Sure. Bill Walsh had been in the league forever by the time you started seeing guys pop up here and there and winning games on their own from the Bill Walsh. Andy Reid is actually part of the Bill Walsh coaching tree if you follow it back far enough, right? Okay. Bill Walsh was around a long time before we started talking about the Walsh coaching tree. Bill Belichick. Okay. Bill Belichick. And by the way, that tree has not been a tree that produces a lot of fruit you'd want to eat on it. There's some, but there's not nearly as much as there are in some other ones. Look at Sean McVay. Look at what he's been able to produce in an unbelievably short amount of time. We're talking about Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, who has been to a couple of NFC Championship games in a row in brand new head coach. 2 for 2 in NFC Championship games as a head coach. Not a bad start to your NFL career. Now, Aaron Rodgers obviously has a lot to do with that, but he at least learned how to work with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. He at least can collaborate with him to a degree where they've had a great deal of success. Maybe not as much as they would have liked, but NFC Championship game is the NFC Championship game. Zach Taylor is going to be on the other side come Super Bowl 56. Zach Taylor is actually another incredibly young head coach. He's only 38 years old. In fact, these two guys will combine for the youngest total age of head coaches in Super Bowl history, 36 and 38. Pretty young guys. He's the old man in the group, and the old man is coming from the young man's tree. We talked about Brandon Staley, who's running the Chargers right now. He went from nowhere to defensive coordinator to the head coach of the Chargers in about the time it takes you to make a can of soup. Sean McVay didn't have anything to do with that. Sean McVay didn't set him up for success across the hall with the Chargers. And I'm not saying that any of these guys aren't worthy of the places that they've achieved. What I'm saying is that this, just being near Sean McVay, gives you a jump start. How about this one? Cliff Kingsbury kind of sort of looks like Sean McVay. They've actually never been together and worked on a staff together, but because, hey, let's go young, handsome, dynamic guy that maybe you didn't think was going to be this guy, but let's just try. Sean McVay got that guy that job just because they kind of look like they might be related in some distant capacity. That's the impact that he's had on this team. And if he wins this game coming up on Sunday or 2 Sundays from now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a guy who will have been a head coach for 5 years, who will have won a Super Bowl, who will have been to another, who has been to the playoffs 4 or 5 years, and whose bad season was a 9-7 season where you're on the right side of 500, who's done it with a couple of different quarterbacks, who's done it with a roster that we talked about this on an earlier edition of Locked On Rams. The roster with this Super Bowl team from the roster from Super Bowl 53 a couple of years ago, with a few exceptions, it's almost an entirely different team. Aaron Donald's still here. Andrew Whitworth is still here, but Robert Woods would have still been here had he been hurt, but he's not here. I mean, he got this team to the Super Bowl without Robert Woods. It's Odell Beckham Jr. It's Von Miller. It's Cooper Kupp, who was hurt the last time. It's just a totally different group of guys, and here he is. So this isn't just, hey, give me a transcendent quarterback. And again, no shade at Mike Tomlin or anybody else, but with Ben Roethlisberger, you're going to go back over and over and over again. With Tom Brady, enough said. He's done it with 2 different guys. He's taken 2 different quarterbacks to the Super Bowl in 4 years. Not a lot of guys have done it. Now, all of this is predicated on him being able to win the Super Bowl here in a couple. If he doesn't, we're going to be having a different conversation. Not that he's not successful, not that he hasn't done an incredible job, but hey, what's the disconnect in not being able to finish the show? What's the disconnect? The last one, new guy, Bill Belichick. Okay, that's not the case coming up here in Super Bowl 56. Zach Taylor is a new guy. The Cincinnati Bengals do not have a long pedigree of going to the Super Bowl. They've been a couple of times, but it's been a long time since they've been in this. The Rams are kind of the old men in this one, so they got to be prepared to do it. But that's how close he is to doing some just extraordinary things as a head coach in this league in an incredibly short period of time.